We got the official Bloomberg report about PlayStation and PC. We're going to go over that because there's lots to jump into in regards to what their strategy shift is looking like. Assassin's Creed, the brand, got a really cool update, as well as the game that a lot of people have been waiting to hear about confirmed here. So that's pretty exciting. We also got some sales numbers for Resident Evil Requiem. It is doing just insane numbers so far. And a massive insider is being called out here from Call of Duty themselves. All right, so as we know, we've been hearing about the rumors about PlayStation pulling back from PC from their single player cinematic experiences, games like Wolverine that are coming out this year, Sorrows. Like, there's going to be those styles of games that it sounds like they are going to be taking away from PC, not releasing them going forward. We don't have any official confirmation from PlayStation themselves. We heard about this from Jason Schreier last week on Reset Era. Just been waiting for his Bloomberg report to get more details on it, and it has now arrived, basically confirming what he was saying the other day, and that it looks like they are going to be pulling away here from the PC platform, at least from their single player experiences. So it says here, Sony pulls back from games on PC. Says Sony Group Corp no longer plans to release its big PlayStation 5 games on PC, a major shift in strategy that sees the video game maker returning to console exclusivity after 6 years of flirting with multi-platform releases, according to people that are familiar with the company's plan. So games like Marathon, Marvel Token, multiplayer, games as a service games will still be multi-platform, will still be on PC, but the big single player titles like Ghost of Yotai and Saros, as well as upcoming Wolverine, those games have been identified that they will not be getting the PC port. And of course, they're not going to identify who told them this because they were not authorized to talk about this publicly, about the company's change in strategy. And then they also reached out to a PlayStation spokesperson for comment, and obviously they right now are refusing to comment on this, and because this is not an official press release from PlayStation themselves. Now, I don't really think they'll say anything. PlayStation doesn't really say anything on this stuff. They just kind of do what they do, change their strategy, and then you're left there just waiting to see what comes next. And to be completely honest, in the way that they PR their stuff, I think it is actually a very smart business move to not really comment on this stuff very much. But maybe they will. We'll see what comes out in the next couple of months or so. Now, when it comes to their external developed games, they do say here 2 games made by external developers but published by PlayStation, Death Stranding 2 and the upcoming Kena Scars of Cosmora, are still planned for PC this year. So I can see the third-party games that they help fund will still release on the PC platform going forward, but anything internally created, that will not be the case. Now, what are the reasons behind this? There's a lot of discussion about this. There's a lot of people coming up with many different reasons why they believe that they would end up making this move. One of the, I would say, common things is he says here that the PlayStation games on PC have not sold well. He says a faction within PlayStation have also expressed concern that releasing their games on PC risks damaging the console's brand and will hurt the sales of the PlayStation 5 and its successors. And that's according to people who are familiar with Sony's inner workings. Now, you take a look at the sales of PlayStation games on PC. Other than Spider-Man 2 that we know of right now, we don't know what the current number is, I believe, on PC. Basically, most of the other ones have actually sold in the millions of units sold. If we take a look at some of the numbers, this is from November 2025. These are the numbers that were showing up here on this GameSpot article. Helldivers 2, games as a service multiplayer, that has been the most successful one so far, 12.7 million units sold. Horizon Zero Dawn 4.5 million, God of War 4.2, Days Gone 3.4 million, and then Spider-Man 2.7 million on PC. It is pretty surprising to see Spider-Man the lowest selling on PC, because that is one of their best selling PlayStation games. I believe on the console itself, it sold like 16 million or so, or at least with Spider-Man 2, it did very, very well. Spider-Man 2 on PC was reported at like 700,000 units, maybe higher than that at this point. But with all of that together, they made over about $2 billion from the PC sales. So people look at that. It's a small percentage overall from the rest of the money that they do make. but it's still, I would say, nothing really to scoff at. $2 billion is still $2 billion in an industry right now that is costing so much to develop these games, and they're trying to figure out ways to grow. They're trying to figure out ways to expand their ecosystem and get more people into it. PC was a very obvious route for Xbox and for PlayStation. The argument that you're seeing a lot go around here is that they're doing this because of the console sales of the PlayStation 5. And I don't think that is the case whatsoever. You take a look at the PlayStation 5 sales numbers for console. They're selling at 92 million right now. They're on track with the PlayStation 4. Who knows if they'll end up beating it or not. All of the data, all of the metrics, all of the numbers show that the PC releases of PlayStation games have had almost no effect, if any, at all, on the sales of the PlayStation 5 console. In fact, Matt Piscatella here has this to say on Blue Sky about the shift in strategy. He says, so a shift in strategy from market expansion and revenue growth to margin protection. That's a very important thing, because if you do remember in recent financial reports from Sony over the last number of years or so, margin has always been the thing that they emphasize that they need to get better. They have to have bigger margins for the games that they are selling. And that, I guess, would mean reducing some of the cost it takes in order to port these games over to PC. He says younger and less affluent players aren't going to leave their established games and low barrier of entry platforms, which I 100% agree. And dedicated PC players will just play other things. Again, I agree with that as well. But sure, higher margin percentage on lower revenues. And then he goes on here to say, according to Circana's player engagement tracker, 60% of US active PS5 users played Fortnite in 2025. And this is known. I mean, you go look at the top games played on PlayStation every single month, the top games on the Circana list, everything. It is Fortnite. It's Call of Duty. It's Madden. It's like those are the games that people are playing on PlayStation more than anything else. It's those big dark hole games. He says the top single player game was Marvel's Spider-Man 2, which ranked 28th at 9.9%. And sales of the console were never noticeably or significantly impacted by the PC releases existing. And Ghost of Yote finished at number 11 and tracked full game sales numbers for the year in the US, and can't even say that assumed non-exclusivity hurt it either. Ultimately, the new shift won't really matter. And he says this just reads like something in the bonus criteria in the exec comp packages changed or something. Shrug. So that's kind of like what he's coming up with, I guess, why they would shift this strategy away from PC. So I don't think it has to do with console sales. You see a lot of people out there making that comparison from Xbox to PlayStation. The way that they handled their consoles have been completely different. PlayStation handled their consoles, and they have a generation of people from the PS4 that bought in thousands and thousands of dollars that go out and buy a PS5 just to play these dark hole games. Their console sales are doing completely fine. 92 million. They're going to be fine whether games release on PC or not. What I think is really happening here is a couple of things. They're trying to monetize their current user base more than they are currently getting out of them. And to do that, they're trying to keep as many people on PSN as possible. They probably don't like that 30% revenue split that they have to do with Steam by selling their games there. In fact, you also have Lin Tao, who on their most recent financial report here, so this was reported on February 24th, 2026 for Q3 fiscal year 25, the financial briefing CFO Lin Tao flagged DRAM prices as a real risk for PS5 manufacturing, but said that they've already secured enough memory for the next holiday season. Rather than pass those costs straight into higher PS5 MSRP, Sony intends to monetize the installed base and further expand software and network services revenue. So they're going to be expanding out their software network services revenue, which equates to about 92.2 million PS5s out there on the market, and then 132 million monthly active PlayStation Network users. They say, and 76% of software sales are already being digital. So I think the move here is what PlayStation is trying to do is they're trying to get more money out of all of the customers currently with on PSN. One of the major things that we did see with Helldivers too on PC was that the pushback against creating a PSN account was there. PC gamers didn't like that. They weren't going to go ahead there and make it. And that's what PlayStation's goal is, huge for those styles of games, is making those PSN accounts. So they know they can't really get away with that type of stuff with their online multiplayer games. How can they monetize players within PSN more? It's keeping them all on the PlayStation console. So that's what's going to be happening, I think, going forward in the future. I wouldn't be shocked if we start to see higher prices for PlayStation games, closing it down so that you have to purchase it there, probably following along the lines more of a Nintendo strategy, which for the PlayStation console and for the PlayStation brand isn't a bad strategy. It's probably actually a decently good strategy for them to do as a business. But for the consumers, I don't see this being something that will pay off in any way. You see a lot of talk about optimization. You see a lot of talk about making games better for the console itself. We are in an era where you have the Xbox and you have PlayStation. They're the exact same basically in how these games are made for them. They're both x86 architecture. This isn't an era where the consoles have to be completely developed differently for. They're very similar under the hood. So I don't really buy the whole optimization thing either. I think this is simply a move that they are potentially doing, because we still don't know whether this is confirmed or not, to monetize the players within the PSN more. So we'll see how this does work out. Again, I wouldn't be shocked if their strategy does end up changing back at some point, because they even do say this within the article itself, that the people caution that things could change in the future due to the unpredictable nature of the video game industry, and that Sony's plans are constantly shifting. But in recent weeks, PlayStation scrapped plans to bring Ghost of Yotei and other internally developed games to PC. So this is a move that sounds like it's been in the works for maybe a couple of weeks here, as they were potentially planning on making Ghost of Yotei, but then just recently scrapped it. So we'll see how this all does end up working out. As somebody who does like the whole access side of things, I like having games everywhere. I like having games on PC and being able to play my games wherever I want. I don't like this move personally. I think it is bad for consumers. Although you see a lot of PlayStation guys cheering this on like this is going to be a very, very good thing. So we'll see what happens. Only time will tell if they ever do shift back to it. And then we'll see if they do raise the prices of their games. I wouldn't be shocked if we see a price raise of PlayStation games in the future as they prepare to lock everybody, or as many people as can, into PSN, taking away the ability to go and purchase these games in other places, get cheaper prices, all of these things. When you have more access and you don't have that locked down to a single box exclusivity, you get as a consumer. All right, let's talk here about a well-known insider for Call of Duty. Activision is potentially here taking legal action against them, I guess, if they don't stop what they are doing. The Ghost of Hope has basically been shut down, at least for now. You used to get tons of great information from the Ghost of Hope, putting out stuff on what is coming from Call of Duty, potential game modes, the future of the games, all of that stuff. But he is being, I guess, shut down here by Activision. They're telling him that they're going to take legal action if he doesn't stop. He says, Activision has legally demanded that I stop leaking and disseminating confidential information related to Call of Duty / Activision, and I'm complying with their demands. Still going to stick around and chat about official Call of Duty info and anything not related to leaks or confidential information. Cheers for the past few years. And the Call of Duty account has been replying to people on social media itself. They say, surprisingly, this prompted a post from the official Call of Duty account on Twitter, which denied that the Ghost of Hope was right about everything and insisted that leakers hurt people building the game. He says, nah, even when leaks are wrong, they still hurt the people building the game and mess with expectations of Call of Duty. So someone was saying that the Ghost of Hope had leaks, and he was correct on everything, so they're, I guess, basically scared and they're shutting him down. Now, I kind of see the perspective here from Call of Duty. I honestly, I like reading the leaks as somebody who sees this information online. I talk about it in videos, and we get to make content about it and speculate and all of that stuff. But I totally understand the aspect of the company looking at this and saying their bottom line could potentially be hurt by this. Their developers could potentially be hurt by this, and they don't want that stuff out there in advance because it does at times set the unreal expectations of confidential information getting out there to the public. I'm honestly surprised that they didn't do this before, or that other companies haven't taken action on this stuff. Not that I want that or advocated for, because obviously I enjoy reading it, I enjoy going over it and just kind of giving my thoughts on it as well. But we'll see what this does mean, because we used to get a lot of great information about Call of Duty, the future games, the stuff that they're going to be building with the next iterations, the studios working on it, all of that. Seemingly, Ghost of Hope is being shut down, And will it ever pop up? They always find ways to continue to pop up in the future. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess, as of right now. Assassin's Creed, we got a huge update on the brand, and I'm pretty excited about this because some of the things that they have mentioned, specifically with the one that everybody is waiting for, which is Assassin's Creed 4 Resynced, has basically been confirmed here from this brand update. So we got this yesterday. This is from the franchise plans for 2026 and I believe beyond. It says Assassin's Creed Shadows, smaller updates and more surprises are coming for that game, which is a game that I really did enjoy. So I will be jumping more into that when they give us more stuff. Codename Hex was something we've seen a lot. I'm actually very excited for this one. It seems like it's a smaller narrative-driven game in a dark setting. They say it's unique, darker narrative-driven Assassin's Creed experience taking more time for development. Codename Invictus, which is a PvP multiplayer Assassin's Creed game, is coming along well. That one less interested in. We'll see how it does work out. There's news on the Netflix Assassin's Creed live action series coming soon. And we got this pretty cool announcement, a free 60 FPS patch for Assassin's Creed Unity coming to PS5 and the Xbox Series. It should be there right now. And they say keep your spyglass on the horizon, which is referring to Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And then we see this. They finally confirm it here. There is like a picture and everything, and they say speculation around Assassin's Creed is not new, but it's worth repeating. Nothing is true. Everything is permitted. Well, except in this case, some whisperers have little more wind in their sails. Keep your spyglass on the horizon. That is the full quote for it, basically saying, yeah, Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, everything that people have been talking about it with this game is happening. It's coming true. And I think this will be a massive hit for Ubisoft, something that they do need. I'm very excited for it. As for a lot of people, this is their favorite game in the entire franchise. So this will be very cool to see how it looks. Are they doing just a complete from the ground up remake of this? It's going to be a beautiful game to jump into and play. Are they going to change any of the mechanics? Are they going to improve upon stuff? All of those questions we will hopefully see more about soon. But there's tons here from Assassin's Creed that is coming out. As a fan of the franchise, I like to see what they are doing. My biggest skeptical thoughts on this is going to be in that PvP mode. Will that take off? Will that be another online games as a service multiplayer game that dies within a month because people don't want newer multiplayer stuff right now, it seems? Even what we just saw with Highguard the other day, they're playing their Black Hole games and pulling them away from that is getting harder and harder. All right, sales here. Sales for Resident Evil Requiem. It's pretty insane how good this game has already done. Not shocking because this is a huge franchise that always does well. However, these are some big numbers. This game is going to sell in the tens of millions of units because as of right now, they've already sold 5 million. They've surpassed 5 million units sold. They put this out and say Resident Evil Requiem is the latest installment in the Resident Evil series, which celebrates its 30th anniversary this month. And Requiem was developed using RE Engine. And then they say here that they've already sold surpassing 5 million units, which this game was just released on February 27th, 2026. So that is a huge amount of sales here within just a few days. And it will continue to sell. As I'm sure people are waiting for this game maybe to go on sale or whatever. Or maybe they just haven't gotten around to buying it yet. So it'll reach in the tens of millions of sales and be one of Capcom's better selling games, which is very cool. And in fact, they do also mention that cumulative game sales have passed 183 million units sold, which is also a very big number. But I'm going to end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. We'll be right back.